I'm gonna be honest here. I'm pretty frustrated at Nintendo right now. I love my Nintendo Switch 2, and I think the system is great. The games that are out there are great. But I think something that Nintendo has lacked this generation going with the Switch 2 is transparency. And I feel like it's getting worse each month when it comes to this. And one of those things being with it is the games. While I said earlier we have a great library of games, we also have so many games on the way that literally has no release date other than 2025. And we're here in the month of August and have barely seen information on these upcoming games. And I really wanted to talk to you guys about my frustrations and talk about the things that Nintendo is doing and how I feel what they're doing with this generation is bad and could shoot them in the foot if they keep going forward with this. I mean, the lack of communication is very noticeable right now. We literally have not a single release date for a game after Drag X Drive when that releases this Thursday. Yes, there's the Kirby Nintendo Switch 2 edition, I guess that counts. But after that, we literally don't know if something's gonna come out in September, November, December. Obviously, there's Pokemon Legends ZA, but you know, Game Freak is more in control of that. I mean, they get their own presentations compared to putting them into Nintendo presentations. If they're in a Nintendo Direct, they get a small portion of it. And I don't understand what Nintendo's key is to doing all of this and why they're doing this. You know, we're about 2.5 months of owning the Nintendo Switch 2. And I was looking at the Nintendo Switch 1 2.5 months into its release. And owners had a really good idea of what was coming out those few couple of months and got general updates all the time on things that was coming out that year. We look at that comparison to now with the Nintendo Switch 2, we really have no clue what's going on with the stuff that's been confirmed for 2025. I mean, we had a very good idea of what the entire summer and a little bit beyond that was going to look with the Nintendo Switch 1. We even had a general idea of what games could be coming out in the month of December, stuff like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, when the whole Nintendo Direct presentation where we were learning about the Nintendo Switch 1. The Nintendo Switch 2, we really don't have anything like that. We got things saying winter, but that's not a date. Winter can also mean early next year's in some ways. And we also haven't had a Nintendo Direct. I don't really think we need a Direct on finding out new games. We more need a Direct on the games that we currently have coming. And I know that it's being reported that one's in the works and that Nintendo is apparently wanting to do the Indie World and the third-party showcase Direct first and then a full-on Nintendo Direct probably in the month of September. But I ask you, why are we doing that? If we're truly getting a Direct in September and don't get any information on the stuff that we already know about, that's like stuff that we're going to learn that like Kirby Air Riders, for example, could be coming out a month or two after that Direct. I mean, I feel like the transparency here has been so awful from Nintendo and definitely something that is pretty uncharacter of them, if I'm to be honest, if we compare the Switch 1. There's also something else that I've noticed that Nintendo's been doing more and more, which I don't think I'm a fan of. Now, I think a lot of people are going to take this part and misconstrue it away, which I want to be very clear. I don't want Nintendo to reveal the whole thing when I say what I'm about to say. But I noticed with games like Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza that the marketing and learning things about these games was pretty poor. Let's use Mario Kart World as the prime example. Obviously, that was probably Nintendo's most controversial release in a very long time when it comes to their first-party games, especially considering it was Mario Kart. And one of those things being was because it was an $80 game. And we really weren't clear what this game was going to have to consist of it being an $80 release. But we had comments from people like Bill Trenning saying that there was so much more to this game than what the Nintendo Switch 2 presentation had to offer. That's why they did a whole Mario Kart World Direct on the game. But the thing about that is that Direct showed us literally nothing because it was all stuff that we learned about in the past with Mario Kart, which led to that game being so controversial because people felt like with what they have seen and what Nintendo was showing that there was nothing there to deliver the $80 price tag. And I'm noticing that that's not good how they're marketing this stuff, especially not showing anything. Now, I'm again not saying they need to reveal the whole thing. They can keep surprises. That's kind of the key thing with video games. However, Nintendo has always done a really good job with the Switch 1 and really all of their other consoles when it comes to talking about their games, marketing the games, showing them off, giving you a good idea of what you're playing. One of the things that I will tell you that I feel like is a good comparison of what Nintendo should have done more of with Mario Kart World's promotion is marketed the free roam features more, and particularly the challenges, because with the way that Nintendo Direct aired, it looked like challenges for the free roam were just going to be collecting blue coins. But if you played Mario Kart World, you would have realized that the challenges were far more than just collecting blue coins. And I don't like that Nintendo didn't show that off because it leads them into what there are right now with people getting mad, people feeling like the game's not worth $80. And I'm not saying that Mario Kart World is worth $80. I'm just saying they're doing a poor job at showing the stuff off compared to their previous consoles. Donkey Kong Bonanza. I love that game. I'm sure all of us do. But I can't help but realize that they didn't really show things off with that game till about 3 weeks before the game even releases, when they had that Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct. I keep noticing a trend here that they're showing stuff off towards when the game is about to come out, or if they even show things off at all, it's nothing that they're showing. Drag X Drive, that's another great example. Now I know how people feel about that release, but Nintendo hasn't shown anything. That comes out Thursday. They've started to do a little bit better over the last 2 or 3 weeks, but it's a noticeable trend that's going on here that I don't like what Nintendo's doing. And once people start seeing it more and more, I think people are gonna start getting frustrated about this. And I'm hoping that this isn't becoming a trend and it's all just coincidental, but seeing what's happening with Mario Kart, seeing what's happening with Donkey Kong, Drag X Drive, I mean, even Kirby, really. We haven't had any Kirby footage other than what was at that Nintendo Switch 2 presentation at the Treehouse and all that. So, I don't know. I'm pretty concerned here. We have no release dates on Metroid Prime 4. No release dates on Kirby Air Riders, a game that's supposed to come out this year. Same with Prime 4, a game that's supposed to come this year. You have people making videos thinking that Prime 4 is delayed due to Nintendo saying absolutely nothing. Now, we've gotten way more footage of that game this year. I don't really think we need too much more. I think people have a clear idea of what's going on with that game. I'm just saying, from the fact that we still have no release date and it's supposedly still coming out this year, why is Nintendo doing this? Kirby Air Riders comes out this year. We've never even seen the game before. What is going on with that? Hyrule Warriors, the mysterious release date with that. Nintendo keeps doing weird things with that. We're seeing more of the game, but there's still so much questions when it comes to that game. And then the release date once again. We know more about Tomodachi Life and Rhythm Heaven, games that are coming to the Switch 1 next year, than we do anything else that's coming out this year. Not to mention Splatoon Raiders. We don't even know when that game's coming out. There's been things pointing that that's coming out this year, but we haven't seen enough of this game to know what's going on with it. It was just randomly thrown at us through the Nintendo Today app, and I don't know if that's why Nintendo's doing this, that they want to put everything towards this Nintendo Today app, because I believe that's the same app that we learned when Drag X Drive was coming out. But ever since this Nintendo Today app has happened, they've changed everything up with how they're doing things, and I don't think it's a good look with what they're doing. They're also holding back third-party announcements, which I think is really weird right now, considering how popular the system is. I think announcing these third-party games would be a key factor. Now, I could understand if they wanted it for a Nintendo Direct, but we're still almost at the end of the year, and we don't know what's going on with games like Elden Ring and Final Fantasy VII Remake. We know those are coming out this year, Square and Bandai have had their own presentations, but we've had no release dates on these games. We even know that Ubisoft has a giant unannounced third-party game, that is their words exactly, that's coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. We've even seen Activision comment on where's Call of Duty when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2. And Activision said something along the lines that they're working with Nintendo to making sure that they announce it at the right time, and that it's going to be very special. Is Call of Duty coming out this year? We really don't know when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2. We've also seen leakers say that Nintendo is telling third parties to not announce their stuff because Nintendo wants to be the ones to do it. And we've already seen that with Activision, and Ubisoft seems like the reason why they're not announcing their thing is because Nintendo is kind of waiting for them to do it. And I don't understand why Nintendo's doing this. They're doing this with their first party and the stuff with third party games. And I know Nintendo's always had a history of doing stuff with that with third parties. I mean, looking at the Persona games and looking at some of the other stuff that's come to the Switch 1, or that was later announced for the Switch 1, Nintendo likes to be the ones to announce it themselves. I just feel like right now, with the trend of the Switch 2, with how popular it is, they need to do something different, as this is starting to become more and more noticeable and a trend here that I don't really like that's going on. Like, I feel like Elden Ring, Final Fantasy, those are games that are probably coming out in October. But I feel like from a marketing standpoint, from people trying to save their money, especially in the timeline that we're in with everything costing so much, people need the opportunity to save the money up. And I feel like with how Nintendo's doing certain things, certain third-party games might not sell well because of how they're going to be doing the marketing of this and announcing them and then the release dates. I don't understand what Nintendo's doing here. And yes, I'm sure once that Direct happens, we'll get a lot of answers to what I'm talking about in this video. But I think the point should be is that we shouldn't have had to wait for September, assuming that this supposed Nintendo Direct happens in September. We shouldn't have had to wait that long. That's almost the end of the year. We're giving a few months to decide if we want to buy these games. And even if a Direct happens in September, I'm not even sure if Nintendo's going to be able to cover everything that we just talked about, because they have a lot to talk about and still haven't done anything about it. And that's going to take a lot of Direct time. And I don't know, man. I'm noticing something with Nintendo, and it feels like if we compare the Switch 1, we didn't have any of these issues with the Switch 1 within the first year of its system. And I'm not saying that the game lineup is bad. In fact, I think we have an incredible lineup. By the end of the year, 6 months into the system, having the games that's been announced and that's supposed to come out this year, I think is an incredible lineup. And I just really hope that going into 2026, that this isn't something that Nintendo is going to be continuing doing, as I think it is poor. I just think it's not good at all to be doing what they're doing. I would definitely love to hear your guys' thoughts on this, as I feel that there's going to be a lot of people in the comments disagreeing with me, but I hope you guys are looking at this with open eyes and seeing what I'm talking about here, because I feel like it's starting to become noticeable and it's something I'm not liking. But guys, I have been talking for way too much. Make sure to backslash that subscribe button, like the video, check out the Twitter, the Discord, the Instagram, and all that good stuff in the description below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace. Wow, I just realized I didn't wear the Dahmer glasses for this. I guess this was like a super serious video that I needed to put on these glasses for. I guess I'll wear this for the next few videos.